1776, 5 men gathered around a table in Ingolstadt, Bavaria. Leading them was a local professor of canon law, the 28-year-old Adam Weishaupt. They gathered to inaugurate a new secret society, the Order of Perfectibilists. Its name soon changed to the Order of the Illuminati, or in German, the Illuminatenorden, the Order of the Enlightened. Its totem was the owl of Minerva, or Athena, the ancient goddess of wisdom. Another symbol was a dot in a circle representing the all-seeing eye. Not the all-seeing eye of God, but of the mysterious, unknown superiors to whom the order answered. The day, May 1st, marked an ancient fertility festival, and it was the extension of the preceding Walpurgis night, long associated with witchcraft and evil spirits. Weishaupt's tiny order had grand ambition. Their aim was to make men free and happy. But first, they had to make them good. Weishaupt envisioned nothing less than a world revolution that would result in a universal republic, a new world order. This necessitated destruction of Christianity and all other forms of religion. It also meant the annihilation of all governments. The new order would bring liberation from all social, moral, and religious restraint and embrace absolute equality and social fraternity. Religious superstition would be replaced with atheism for the masses and a kind of enlightened pantheism for the higher classes. A communism of goods would govern economics. The benevolent, enlightened elite, the Illuminati, would reign over this earthly paradise. As Weishaupt put it, the superiors of Illuminism are to be looked upon as the most perfect and the most enlightened of men. No doubts are to be entertained even of their infallibility. Down with the old masters. Say hello to the new masters.
You heard that? Down with the old master. Say hello to the new master. So I'm telling y'all that past shit is dead. That shit fucked up how y'all ran that shit. Y'all killing each other. That ain't no society, man. Who wanna be with something that killing their people? Come on, B. You heard that shit, yeah. You hear it clearly. You can hear it. I'm speaking to it, so everybody hear it. Down with the old master. Say hello to the new master. So y'all, that old shit is old with. So step the fuck out of my way. I don't wanna be part of y'all shit. Y'all old. I'm hanging with the new people now. I don't wanna live about that shit y'all did. The old fucked up ass slave ass gay ass shit.
I bet that even if you've never taken notice of secret societies before, you've heard of the Illuminati. Well, over 2 centuries later, the term is embedded in popular culture as the generic name for a conspiratorial group bent on world domination. People pore over Super Bowl ads looking for hidden Illuminati symbols, and they're even parodied in Taco Bell commercials. The Bavarian Illuminati have spawned a cottage industry of conspiracy theory. In this lecture, we're going to explore the roots of Weishaupt's creation, what it believed, what it did, and its legacy. Perhaps its survival. The Illuminati were very much a creature of the 18th century Enlightenment, a time that, while it's mostly identified with the flowering of reason and science, also saw an explosion of interest in mysticism and the occult. The century that produced the French philosophers Diderot, Rousseau, and Voltaire also gave us the Italian forger and swindler Alessandro Cagliostro, the German hypnotist Friedrich Anton Mesmer, and the ageless alchemist, the Count of Saint-Germain. There is nothing new about Weishaupt's utopian vision. The term Illuminati has been used many times before. In the classical age, any initiate of a mystery cult was considered an Illuminatus. The same was true for a Christian who'd undergone baptism. In essence, what Weishaupt envisioned was the realization of heaven on earth, the immanentizing of the Escheton. That notion goes back a long, long time. A 5th century Persian prophet named Mazdak imagined something much the same. Another version is the millennial paradise that many believe Christ will usher in on his return, or the perfect kingdom Jews anticipate with the Messiah. The difference is that Weishaupt's perfect kingdom would be instituted by humans themselves, at least the illuminated ones. Weishaupt's original contribution to this ancient theme was organization. As opposed to open proselytizing, mass movements, and direct confrontation, he advocated secrecy, or more to the point, conspiracy. The great strength of our order lies in its concealment, he decreed. Let it never appear in any place in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation. Besides Weishaupt's lack of originality, there was the question of whether he was the real master of his conspiracy or the tool of something bigger. Occult and Masonic scholar Manly P. Hall claimed that the Bavarian Illuminati were but a fragment of a larger movement. Hall viewed Weishaupt as a faithful servant of a larger cause, and that behind him moved the intricate machinery.
See, that what going on now. A bigger movement. The bigger the sword, the bigger the movement. It's my movement. The world fucking with it. I ain't finna give y'all no control over this shit. That my shit. That my society I'm building. Stay the fuck out of it. And y'all ain't got shit to do with it. Cause y'all had y'all chance. Y'all old. Get with me. This the new shit.
Of the secret schools. Hall warned that the mystery schools never trust their full weight to any perishable institution. The Bavarian Illuminati were a chapter in a story, not the whole story. Outwardly, Weishaupt and his brethren came nowhere near to achieving their lofty ambitions. The Bavarian Illuminati officially lasted barely a decade. The group is easy to dismiss as another of history's countless failed pipe dreams. But it's not as simple as that. The Illuminati were never rounded up or brought to account. Weishaupt lived to write, plot, and influence until his death in 1830 at the ripe age of 82. Nor was the society's organization seriously disrupted. After all, it was invisible. Remember, Weishaupt decreed that the order's strength lay in concealment and that it would always appear under other names. How do you ban that? Like other secret societies in history, such as the Templars, Assassins, Cathars, and still more before them, there's every reason to suppose that the Illuminati carried on in one form or another. You could argue that being exposed was the best thing that ever happened to the Illuminati. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Exposure spread the name of the order far and wide. People who might never have heard of it now did, and as many were intrigued as repulsed. Some even argue that Weishaupt himself blew the order's cover for precisely that reason. In other words, it was part of his plan. So who was Adam Weishaupt? His full name was Johann Adam Joseph Weishaupt. He was not Jewish, as some have claimed, nor was he a Jesuit priest or any kind of religious figure. He was the son of a lawyer who died young and left his son's upbringing in the hands of a godfather, Baron Johann von Ickstaff. And Ickstaff was the embodiment of an Enlightenment scholar.
Pokemon Unite!
As lay director of the Jesuit-run University of Ingolstadt. He possessed a large library of forbidden and esoteric books to which young Adam had early and ready access. Doubtless, he learned a few things. At age 15, Adam entered Ingolstadt University and followed his late father in the study of law. He graduated in 1768, age 20, and right away assumed a professorship at the same school. He was a hometown boy made good. He seemed a typical member of the German intellectual establishment. Weishaupt's Jesuit instructors were noted for the rigorousness of their education. A part of this was the notion of casuistry. It was the use of rational argument to back up dubious, deceptive, or self-serving conclusions, especially moral ones. Simply put, the art of propaganda. Weishaupt learned an important but often overlooked lesson. The voice of reason isn't the one telling you to show mercy. It's the one telling you not to leave any witnesses. The Jesuits were basically a secret society within the Catholic Church. Under the absolute authority of their superior general, they fought the enemies of the church by all means, fair and foul. Conspiracy, even assassination, was their stock and trade. Much like the medieval Knights Templars, they amassed wealth and power. And like the Templars, this aroused envy and fear. In the Templars' case, it ended in accusations of heresy and blasphemy. The Jesuits nearly suffered the same fate. In 1773, Pope Clement XIV was persuaded to abolish the Jesuits. For Weishaupt, this meant opportunity. At Ingolstadt, he ascended to deacon of canon law. Weishaupt later expressed both disdain and admiration for his Jesuit mentors. His later position at the head of the Illuminati directly mimicked the autocratic power of the superior general. Arguably, the whole plan of the Illuminati, even its secretiveness, was taken straight from the Jesuit playbook. Thus, some suspected that Weishaupt remained a Jesuit at heart and secretly did their bidding. So what was Weishaupt's plan? First, he was obsessed with secrecy. He proclaimed that, of all the means I know to lead men, the most effectual is a concealed mystery. The hankering of the mind is irresistible. Noting that the games and abuses of secret societies were without end, he said, I wanted to make use of this human weakness for a real and worthy goal, the welfare of mankind. Simply put, Weishaupt saw that men desire status, and offering them access to secrets, real or imagined, was a way to manipulate them. He looked for an existing secret society to serve as a cover for his new one. Weishaupt decided that none is fitter than Freemasonry. The public is accustomed to it, expects little from it, and therefore takes little notice of it. He mocked ordinary Freemasonry as a frivolous business, but appreciated the keenness and zeal of its members, and the way the lodges were knit together by the secrecy of their union. And Masonic lodges made excellent recruiting grounds. So in 1777, Weishaupt joined a Masonic lodge and demanded every Illuminatus do likewise. Once initiated, they were to attain positions of leadership and turn the lodges into vehicles for Illuminati propaganda and expansion. Weishaupt also saw great value in literary societies and libraries, the internet of their day. He commanded his order to establish or infiltrate them, so we may turn the public mind which way we will. At the same time, the Illuminati would monitor everything appearing in print. Weishaupt said, if a writer publishes anything that attracts notice, but does not accord with our plan, we must endeavor to win him over or decry him. Though utterly contemptuous of religion, Weishaupt placed a premium on recruiting clerics. The most wonderful thing of all, he wrote, is that the distinguished Lutheran and Calvinist theologians who belong to our order really believe that they see in it, the Illuminati, the true and genuine sense of Christian religion. O mortal man, is there nothing you cannot be made to believe? Weishaupt didn't forget the common man. He said, we must win the common people in every corner. And he said, this will be obtained chiefly by means of the schools and by open, hearty behavior, condescension, popularity, and toleration of their prejudices, which we shall at leisure root out and dispel. Nor did he ignore women, writing, "There is no means of influencing men so powerfully as by means of women. Women should therefore be our chief study. We should insinuate ourselves into their good opinion, give them hints of emancipation. This, he argued, will cause them to work for us with zeal without knowing that they do so." Still, Weishaupt's perfect world would be a man's world. The head of every family will be the patriarch, the priest, and the unlettered lord of his family. If this sounds like more deception and manipulation, you're right. Weishaupt wouldn't argue. The ultimate goal was to make men free and happy, but first they had to be made good, and that required manipulation, trickery, even coercion. While the Illuminati would be the enlightened aristocracy of the New World Order, even they weren't equal or free. A recruit or novice was under the complete control of his recruiter or insinuator. Novices were told what to read, how to think, and they kept a daily account of their every thought and action. They also compiled detailed personal histories. They had no secrets from their insinuator and obeyed every command without question. Initiates received a special name, usually something classical. Weishaupt's was Spartacus. Curiously, many picked names connected to ancient mystery cults like Osiris, Pythagoras, or Attis. Once a novice received initiation into the next rank, the Brethren of Minerva, he had truly entered the Illuminati. There were also two higher ranks, minor and major Illuminatus. But Weishaupt decreed that no religionist, that is, anyone retaining a scrap of their old belief, could be admitted to them. Nor was
Y'all heard that old belief. You gotta let that old shit go.
there room for patriotism. Absolute loyalty to the order and one's Illuminati superiors was the rule. The love of one's prince and of one's country are incompatible with the ultimate aims of the order. Ordinary morality was also forbidden. Calumnies, poisonings, assassinations, perjury, treasons, and rebellions were not crimes if done on the command of superiors and for the good of the order. It's that old saying, to the pure, all things are pure. At root, it was antinomianism, the rejection of all traditional rules and restrictions. The Illuminati later instituted more higher grades, unknown to the rank and file. There were Scotch Knights, a nod to the Masonic Scottish Rite, epops, prefects, national directors, national prefects, and finally, the Grand Master, Adam Weishaupt himself. Illuminati propaganda insisted the order would free men from all religious prejudices, cultivate social virtues, and lead them to a speedy prospect of universal happiness in a state of liberty and moral equality, freed from subordination, rank, and riches. Weishaupt proclaimed, "My explanation is accurate and complete. My means are effectual and irresistible. Our secret association works in a way nothing can withstand, and man shall soon be free and happy." If any of this sounds familiar, it should. Everything about Weishaupt's Illuminism echoes the style, substance, and promise of later communism. Coincidence or inheritance? So how did Weishaupt's plan work in practice? Researchers like Terry Melanson, who maintains the Conspiracy Archives, identifies about 450 confirmed Illuminati. Other estimates range from 600 to 2,000. Regardless, a huge increase from the original 5. Still, secret societies always emphasize quality over quantity. Known Illuminati came almost exclusively from the 18th century intelligentsia. Lawyers, academics, physicians, writers, and theologians abound. Among them was Johann von Goethe, author of Faust and one of the most celebrated names in Western literature. And Goethe was confidential advisor to another Illuminatus, Duke Karl August of Saxe-Weimar. The Illuminati roster includes an astounding number of barons and counts, as well as more important aristocrats such as dukes and princes. Peasants, butchers, and chimney sweeps are absent. Jews, pagans, and ex-Jesuits were generally excluded, though exceptions were made. The great majority of Illuminati were Freemasons. Most were Germans, but there were brethren in Austria, Hungary, Switzerland, France, Denmark, and even Russia. There was an especially active cell in Naples, Italy. They played a guiding role in Naples' short-lived Parthenopean Republic in 1799. Weishaupt focused on recruiting what today we'd call influencers or opinion shapers. Illuminati brethren also mostly represented the have-somes of Enlightenment society as opposed to the have-nots and the have-everythings. They have some and they wanted more. They embodied both ambition and resentment. The same sort can be found in the driver's seat of almost every revolution. Marx, Lenin, and Castro would have felt quite at home. Despite the secrecy and conspiracy, Weishaupt's order